So my legal practice will also involve changing those processes. The processes by which laws are made, decisions are made, needs to evolve. It's going to evolve, I believe, to a much more local level. That's where citizens are going to take their power back. The influence of money is much less at the local level. All right? It still is there, and it's filtering in now in a bigger way, but it's still much less. And that's where I see that laws such as legal rights for nature, laws such as prohibiting the use of genetically modified organisms in your local food supply, it's going to come from local communities deciding they won't operate that way. Right? Doesn't matter. So for example, a company like Monsanto has had true political dominance at the national level, right? To where they've been able to get patents over many processes of life itself, really, seeds, genetically modified organisms. I just read where the first genetically modified salmon, I believe, is up before the FDA right now for preliminary approval. The first genetically modified food product, right? I can just envision what that political process is. How much money has gone into politicians, agencies, to obtain the patents involved, to obtain the influence by which it would be even considered, and whether or not, for example, labeling will be required, telling people what's in this product. That process is just it's the culmination of decades and many, many millions of dollars of influence. Okay? So how do we change that? It's not going to happen, in my view, at the national level. It just isn't. Communities like Boulder, Colorado, has faced the issue. And I'll give you an example. In Boulder, what you see out this window here is open space. Okay? It's owned by Boulder County. Boulder County and the citizens of Boulder, some 30 years ago, started a very novel program of buying open space, taxing ourselves in order to buy up property that goes on the market and would otherwise go to developers or would go to uses that are not in the public's best interest. Okay? And so we bought many, many thousands of acres that's been maintained as open space. Right? So the issue has come up of some of this open space is still used as agricultural land. Farmers lease the land or have the right to farm the land even though the county owns the land, right? So the issue has come up of, well, can they plant genetically modified beets, Roundup ready beets, all right, on open space on county owned land? And there's a huge, huge battle between community groups who see the big picture and who see that this is a real danger on the planet to the food supply. Even though at the very local level, a farmer can say, yeah, but it increases my yield and it's easier to grow and therefore I'm feeding more people, and all those arguments are certainly there. But it's an argument that a local community is entitled to have, despite whether Monsanto received approval to sell Roundup ready beets, to sell genetically modified organisms and seeds that are patented, and whether it can enforce those patents when when a farmer who didn't plant those seeds, but nevertheless they blew onto his property and they start growing, whether Monsanto could come and basically bring a lawsuit to for damages, for patent infringement, and it's done that. Okay, these are arguments that are legal issues that need to be addressed, and the question is, are they going to be addressed at the national level through policy making and through agencies that we know are dominated by corporate money? Or are they going to be addressed by local communities, right, making their own decisions? And so I think that's where lawyers will be able to have an effect, not just in the actual substance of the laws that are created, but the processes themselves. Raising awareness so that people see that laws are really theirs, okay, to evolve. Over a century, we've sort of ceded our control over legal processes that really affect our daily lives to national organizations, right? Including organizations like the American Bar Association and national law firms and bigger and bigger legal systems. And I think a lot of that is going to change as well, because those systems are breaking down. They're not effective anymore at addressing very critical legal questions affecting everyday lives of people in their own communities. And so that's where I think people can get involved. What the business model for that is, is this public interest law? Is this going to work so that communities support lawyers who bring these test cases, lawyers who develop these processes, community decision-making processes? I don't know. It's a good question. And but I'm ready to get started trying to figure it out. When I talked about local groups in the United States that had started to push communities to form ordinances recognizing the rights of nature, right? The Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund is one of those groups. Okay, that group also worked with people like the Pachamama Alliance and others to assist Ecuador in framing its new constitution to recognize legal rights for nature. And so there are legal groups in the United States that see this big picture and that are seeing that we need to move beyond national elections. We need to move beyond the traditional processes of policy making and just work at local levels to frame these issues so people see what's happening in the world, the cause of the problems, and the potential solutions. As we do that, we're going to, of course, get pushback. We're going to get pushback from corporations. We're going to get pushback from national organizations. The mass media is really working overtime to try to get people to see that these are solutions that can't be found at the national level, but they're going to be found through revolution or throwing the bums out and putting new people in at the national level. And I just don't think that's the answer either. I could be wrong, and it's a good dialogue to have.